Hello, everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think is something I should have probably talked about in the past, but it's been recently brought up because of Biome Battle. I should clarify now, disclaimer, this event is not talking about Biome Battle. It just happens to be brought up as a topic of conversation. Biome Battle, pretty good event. Thumbs up for Biome Battle. But we're going to be talking about the entire Minecraft event scene, pretty much in general, but mostly on the smaller end. So this does not really include MCC, Block Wars. It technically could include PB. It technically could include Block Wars. We'll get into it. Either way, a take was given on Twitter by one of the Nox crew, who I think made a very good point that I don't think was really talked about at all. This isn't something that's mentioned ever. Here's the tweet from Mel. Mel is maybe someone you'll be familiar with, but Mel is currently moderating and testing manager for Nox crew, but they are involved in the event scene in the community. There's been discussion on Twitter regarding Spleef because Toph got crapped on in Spleef in Mayhem because people were cross-teaming on him because Spleef is a social game and blah blah blah, whatever. A whole discussion, whole debate happened. Then there was a take from Dory saying that SG and Spleef are ancient and poor minigames, shouldn't be in an event's roster unless they have a radical spin on them. Whatever. Sure, I can partially agree with that. I think SG and Spleef shouldn't be in every event. I fully agree with that. Do I think you can't have normal Spleef or normal SG in your event? Debatable, honestly, but that's not today's topic of the event. Mel gave a take, and I'll read it out. This is an important conversation to have because too many events take a decent game and make an event out of those, which makes the quote-unquote market oversaturated and causes every event to be virtually the same. This is true. This is true. The main problem that I have with the Minecraft event scene, at least in terms of why I don't really talk about smaller events in general, is because they all are virtually the same. They're kind of the same thing, they blend in, and unless you're already actively involved in an event like that, I don't really care. I'm not really involved with the smaller event scene. I obviously respect if the smaller event scene makes something that's really cool, for example, Biome Battle, which smaller event is maybe not the best way to look at Biome Battle because it kind of was given a head start, before it even happened. There was already more hype regarding the event than other, occurring events have had in the past. Either way, I haven't really paid attention to smaller events, and thus I don't really have any attachment to smaller events. So if I see some footage from a smaller event and I'm like, oh, this looks like the same stuff, then I'm just like, well, not for me, not of interest, which is why I don't really talk about some of the events that some people ask me to talk about, because I just don't really know anything about them, and I don't think it is of interest to me to talk about them, especially long term. But yeah, what Mel says here is something that's very notable is a lot of events are trying to, be an event and exist and blah, 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 whatever. But they're all, or most of them have too much similarity to the point where they are virtually the same. We need newness, originality, and most of all, not everyone needs to make their own event. If you're a coder, join the teams of one of the many events looking for one. Make an existing event better instead of starting your own. That's just another cookie cutter example of what we already have. This take is so important because I think it is overlooked. It is overlooked. It is so overlooked. So massively overlooked. I gave a take on stream yesterday regarding this. I will not give the entire, or I'll not show the entire thing, but I'll show a little clip. I actually probably have the wrong timestamp here right now. But this is regarding Biome Battle because it was in conversation. Again, the clip will explain itself. Biome Battle's good. This is not about Biome Battle being bad or anything, alright? I'm not complaining about Biome Battle. I know some people think that I hate the event for some reason because I gave slight constructive, potentially negative feedback, but whatever. Anyways, either way, I give a take on this on Twitch, and I'll showcase that right now. This is regarding Biome Battle as an example. Had BitSquid not had I seen BitSquid's talent without them hosting their own event, because I think it's too late now, I would have totally asked them if they were interested in working on Block Wars, because some of the stuff they did is fucking phenomenal. It looks great. I was like, oh, this guy would have been great to have on the team. I'd have loved this guy on the team, but it's not like that. Yeah, that's the take that I gave. And I stand by it. Had I known of BitSquid's talent in the past before they even started on making this Biome Battle project, I would have totally reached out to them and tried to get them on the Block Wars team, because I think some of the things that they are doing, most of the things they're doing, especially in the visual aspect, are really impressive looking, really cool. Either way, this is not about Biome Battle. Again, it's just an example. But I think other events can potentially take example. This is a much more difficult, or it's much easier said than done. But considering there are so many events out there, I think, hypothetically speaking, let's say there's even three smaller Minecraft events that are all existing in the same sphere, existing roughly around the same time, blah, 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 blah. And they're like kind of, overlapping. There's maybe same players in every event. Maybe they're hosting the event at the same time, just like how I've already mentioned in the past as well. The Saturday slot is very occupied. Every event's on a Saturday. Yes, I understand it's on Saturday for a good reason. That's when most people will be available. But if every event's on a Saturday, somebody's gonna suffer. That's just how it works. And I'll tell you right now, if Minecraft Goof Squad event wants to host their event on Saturday at 2 p.m. EST and either Block Wars or FCCs on that day, that's unlucky, buddy, but none of those events are gonna move. That's just the reality of things. And I think something that could be interesting is if some events collaborated, maybe permanently, depending on the possibilities. Because obviously, again, much easier said than done, because the way events are coded are never mutually the same. There is no way that Minecraft Event A and Minecraft Event B, even if it's on the same code language, will function the same in terms of code. So in order for those events to hypothetically merge together, become one, and become a greater one event, would be a lot of work. So it's a question of, is it even worth it? I think yes, honestly. Something that, it's been said for so long. It's been said, and I talked to Daniel Ultima a little bit about this. According to him, ever since the start of MCC Season 3, apparently, this is something he's noticed. I'll take his word for it. No reason for him to lie on the internet. But apparently, for almost 2 years now, you could say a year and a half, there's been an issue of, well, not an issue. There's been an opinion, / issue of the oversaturation of the Minecraft event scene, and Mel mentioned it here too. There are so many events in the sphere right now, in the event scene. So many events are there that are similar, and it just makes it feel, kind of bleh, kind of meh. That's why when Biome Battle came out and I saw that they had mini games, I initially was a little disappointed. Obviously, it turned out well. It was a good event, but I was just hoping for something more unique. And this is also something that Daniel agreed on when I talked to him a little bit about this. The event scene is just the same, man. It's all, you could call it MCC format, you could call it minigame format, whatever, but it's all the same thing. Yes, some events have a slight little spin on it that makes it a little different. Cool. Anyways, it's the same thing. The core concept's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. You could argue, well, Mayhem only has 7 games instead of 8. Who cares, man? It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, alright? And I just wish that events either, depending on what their goals are, of course, because that's another thing that I will mention based on the replies here, depending on their goals, either did something different or worked together to make something better. Because if you have mid-event A and mid-event B, and mid you combine the good elements of mid and mid, you make slightly above average or good or even, whatever, would be much better of an experience. That's just my thought. Also, one thing that I did mention in this, that I think is also something that's important to note, is that if 2 events were to just work together and merge their staff teams, you have more staff. You know what that means? Makes making the event a whole lot easier if you have, hypothetically speaking, double the amount of people available to make your stuff. Yeah, obviously, because of the whole transition of, adapt to code language, blah, 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 whatever, would take some time to adjust. You have more staff. It would be kind of nice if, if you had, what's that? I don't know. It's just, this is my thought process on that whole thing. Sorday here makes a valid comment on Mel's thing, saying, I think this makes sense in the eyes of, I make an event for content creators in order to have a lot of viewers, but some people just want to have fun and code their own projects. Very valid. However, Mel brings up a very good counter argument. True, but if I was a coder who wanted to have fun, I wouldn't really focus on promotion as much as recent events have. They all have a dedicated social media person and account, make announcement graphics, invite big CCs. If you do that, I would want the event to be polished. That's true, though. You can say, well, some events maybe just want to be for fun and silly and goofy, haha, whatever. If you invite larger creators to your events, unfortunately, that does mean more eyes are on your event and flaws will become more talked about and things will just be a bit more critical. That's just how things work. So, yeah. Just wanted to say that. I think Sorday and Mel here both bring up good points, but that is the reality of things. A lot of the events that are indirectly being mentioned here, not by name of course, but just smaller event that's the same as every other event. I'm sure you can, if you're in the event scene like that, like to the extent that you know some names, you'll understand what I'm probably talking about. I don't even know the names of the events, but I know they exist because I've seen footage. I just don't know the name of the event. I'm just gonna be completely real, no clue. Either way, I completely forgot what I was talking about. My point still stands. Event scene is oversaturated. It's a topic that I don't know if I've tackled in the past. And I think something that would be of interest, obviously would be a long-term thing, is that some of these events could permanently collaborate and try to make one good event together rather than try to both make a quote-unquote good event and not really fully succeed. Because realistically speaking, the more people that are on a team, yes, something that was also mentioned in my stream, yes, you could potentially have the issue of too many cooks in the kitchen. It's actually mentioned right here. Yeah, that's possible, but also more people being available means you have more people to bounce ideas off of. It means that you have more feedback to work with. It means that you have more time on your hands. It means that you can scale things up if you want to. It's just, all in all, I think a net positive. But I completely understand if no event wants to try it, because it is a risk. And I also have said this in the past, and I'll say this on video here. Block Wars, obviously something that is mentioned, or very important to mention here too, is, in the reality of things, similar to MCC. Obviously, it shares a lot of things with MCC. In terms of core format, it is essentially the same format. However, had we not been this deep into Block Wars, I would have totally wanted to make an event that's more unique. Do I know what I would do? No. But would I try my best to figure it out? Sure. The reality of things is, though, that Block Wars is obviously already successful to an extent that I don't think it is worth to reinvent the wheel. Especially now after, the devs took about half a year to recode the entire thing. I'd feel very bad if we were just like, let's just completely ditch all this effort and do something different. We're not doing that. Also, Block Wars has a lot of cool ideas in store that we want to try out. It'll happen eventually. Just gonna take some time. And yeah, it's something that, obviously, because I am so vocal about it, it is definitely something I could see people consider me being a hypocrite for. But I wanted to just mention, like, hey, had Block Wars not been as established as it is now, I would totally be the one making this more unique event that I'm asking for, essentially. And I don't even care about necessarily playing in it. If it's really cool and people want me to play in it, sure, I'll play in it. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, for the sake of the event scene, having a bit more uniqueness would be pretty cool, would be pretty nice. Not saying that it's the demand, but it's just a half-friendly suggestion. If you want to make your event pop off and make it work and make it big, potentially, depending on what your goals are, do something more unique, or work together to make something good within the scene that you're already at. Because if you want to make a really good minigame event, maybe collaborating with others is the way to go. And that's my thought process on it. Anyways, yeah, maybe a little bit of a kind of a question mark type of topic here, because I feel like my brain went back and forth, because it is something that I really care about, but it is something that I think is hard to talk about because it's kind of critical of other people's creativity. But I think it's important to talk about, and that's my thoughts, my promise, hello. But the topic has been talked about. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you all later. My brain's frying. Goodbye.